Okay, so that. Okay, thank you all, and thank you for your patience with IT just now. So anyway, welcome to the Gower AONB Partnership Steering Group for our March meeting. And the first item on our agenda, any apologies for absence?
Apologies from Councillors Andrew Stevens and Mark Child, and also from Paul Tucker.
Thank you.
Mark Thomas.
Mark, you got your hand up?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I am obviously here, so it's not a. I have to leave at 3 o'clock. I've got another meeting, so yeah, I will have to duck out at 3 o'clock. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. No problem, Mark. And Chris?
Just apologies from Paul Meller, who's in another meeting at the moment, but depending on if we're finished by 3 or not, he may be able to join us later.
Okay, doke. Cheers.
Okay.
I also, Jeremy.
Yes, Mike.
I also have apologies from Steve Hurd. He may be able to join us later, but he's got commitments during the first bit of the afternoon.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, item 2 then. Any disclosures of personal and prejudicial interests? No. So we move on to item 3. Is to approve and sign as a correct record the minutes of the previous meeting, which you find on page 1 to 6. I'm on page 1 now. Page 2, 3, page 4, page 5, and page 6. Would somebody move them as a full record, please?
I'll move for you, Chairman.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, then item 4 then is item for discussion regarding livestock road casualties on Gower Commons. And Roger, you wanted to speak to this?
Yeah.
You speak up. Yes, I should pick it up.
There's quite a lot of roadkill on the commons at the moment, and just wondering what the answer to it is. Do we fence the common? Do we reduce the speed limit? I don't know. Just wonder what other people think of it.
Okay, thank you, Rod. Yeah, it is noticeable in that there've been quite a few newspaper articles about it. Anyone want to make a contribution?
Yes.
Linda? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry, the signs that were put up, all the banners and that, have all been damaged in the storms. I don't know if the group that put them up could find some more funding to replace them before we start getting an influx of visitors to the area and it gets worse again, and we'll have lambs and calves out on the commons as well. But I think the long-term solution is actually fencing the commons.
Okay, thanks, Linda. Paxton.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, obviously there's been a committee that's been looking at this for some time now. And obviously the lady from down west, Sam, I can't remember her surname off the top of my head, so my apologies for that, has been instrumental in driving a lot of this. And Mike will know full well that there's been money coming from the Sdf for it as well. And a lot of signs have gone up, as Linda says, they are disappearing. And I think I agree in a sense that fencing is the only answer. Now, whether that's ordinary fencing as we understand it or whether it becomes electronic fencing, I think is a moot point. I suspect that commoners would be a lot happier if it was electronic fencing rather than physical fencing. So I understand that that is beginning to improve, or the technology of that is beginning to improve, but it's still difficult for sheep. But that's basically where I think we are at the moment.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Councillor Mark Thomas.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yeah, just for the wider membership's awareness, and possibly not everybody is aware, Paxton has just touched on it there, and Linda is also a member of the group. I think we have a cross-party group that meet quarterly to discuss this issue, and have for a number of years. Is chaired by Councillor Lyndon Jones, and the rest of us, certainly Linda, Paxton, myself. But not only is it cross-party, we also, the police are in attendance as well, because of the road safety issues. Now, as we're all aware, we have, reduced the speed from what was 60 down to 40. So that's improved and increased the signage. It's a difficult one with signage because we have to be mindful, and I'm sure Chris is here and Mike will maybe comment on this. We can't overdo it with the signage as well because of it's the AONB at the end of the day, and we can't have littering of that type. So it is a sensitive subject. Not saying it can't be done, but it is everything we suggest or look to do. We have to be always constantly mindful of the aesthetic of obviously is Gower. We have been working also with. I'm trying to think of the name of the group that Sam is heading up. Certainly, it's one that's very mindful of and cares very much about livestock on the commons and those that are being killed. And they always they attend the meetings regularly and come up with suggestions. We help them fund the signs that both Paxton and Linda mentioned, both as a council. But no, I think it actually came from us as individual Gower ward members. We made contributions towards the signs being made, and then Sam's group had them put up. But that's in conjunction with our AONB team as well. So as I said, we have to keep reflecting on that. But it's not something we're ignoring, I can tell you that. But it's a difficult one because I'm sure, I know fencing has been talked about, but in reality, would actual physical fencing, for example, get widespread support from people living and visiting Gower? I don't know. And is it legal because of commoners' rights and roaming, etc.? So, it is a difficult challenge. The police, we have also been in touch with Go Safe, who operate the mobile camera system, to ask them to give more attention down on our commons as well, and looking to work with us about providing, because one of the problems on commons is having sites where they can locate the Go Safe vehicle. So even if we got their consent to do it, you've got to have laybys and pull-ins where they can safely measure traffic speed. So, but just to end, it is definitely not a subject that's being ignored, and we do debate it. And as I said, I think we meet quarterly, and we are taking the matter seriously, and we are chipping away at it. But we've got this problem with people just driving too fast, haven't we? And it's a difficult nut to crack. But I just want to make that contribution, Chair.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. John France.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I just wanted to ask, does anybody collect statistics? Because the fact that it's got attention in the Evening Post has nothing to do with frequency or infrequency of the event. If that's a matter of chance. Is it getting worse? Is it getting better? I don't know. But nobody has indicated that they've got any sense of numbers. And I'd like to ask if there is information.
Okay. Right. Thank you. Mike Scott.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd just ask Roger to speak first for a moment, but if I could come back in a moment, I've got a couple of answers for John and some more details.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
You talk about fencing and the freedom to roam. To take the animals off the common is a no-no because it'll spoil the character of the area forever. I do think that maybe if it is fenced, it's going to have to be grazed in blocks, and that's part and parcel of the way forward. I know they can't roam from one side of the Bryn to the other, or from Fairwood to Penwyn, etc., etc. But if we're going to keep the commons as they are and grazed, maybe that is part of the solution, that they are grazed in blocks, not as a whole.
Okay. Yeah, that's the point. Mike, you wanted to come back in?
Yes, I was going to tie up a couple of strands that people have raised. It's the Gower Commons Safety Group that we work with. That involves, as Mark mentioned, that involves the council, the graziers, the police, various other stakeholders as well. They've been working together for a number of years to try and reduce the number of animals killed on the roads. In the last year, I think it's March to March, there have been over 100 animals killed. The Common Safety Group do record all the numbers. They keep the stats. The figures that they report are minimums because, of course, some of the animals then disappear. But it certainly has got a lot worse over the past 2 or 3 years. Certainly 100 animals killed in a year is a huge amount. Now, most of the animals killed are, or reported anyway, are horses, cows, some sheep, but it's, to be honest, it's the larger animals where the accident is quite more significant, and it's quite clear you can't just have a bump and drive off as is possible with sheep. Where it happens, people have a legal requirement to stop and report it to the police. A lot of people don't, which obviously leaves the animals in a degree of suffering and means that the stats aren't complete. The group, as I say, has been working for a number of years. We've looked at reflective collars. Some of you will remember those. We've looked at signage of various sorts. We've looked at trying to work with the police and particularly the Go Safe CAT partnership. We are trying to work with Go Safe at the moment to see if we can create some hard standing where they would need it for camera vans so that we can at least provide them with the facilities to use. It is a very difficult problem. It's been ongoing for a number of years, and it's one that's common across a number of landscapes as well. New Forest, for example, also has quite significant problems too. I think this is going to be an ongoing campaign simply because it's a long-running problem. There are no easy, quick solutions, and the main issue is one of speed. So if any of you have any more questions, I'd be quite happy to go through some of the details with you if you want. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, thank you so much, Michael. Right, I've got on my list. First is Mr. Jenkins. Sorry, I don't know your christening name.
Oh, it's Philip. Thank you. Just to follow up on Mike's point there, the police have been actively campaigning among the schools as well. I'm sure with other local organisations to ensure that number one, the awareness is there from point of view of speed. So they've issued us with leaflets and things to hand out to parents, but also as well the reporting aspect as well to make sure that people are aware there's the mandatory responsibility to report accidents if they do occur. On the other point, with regards to Go Safe, we've recently been successful in obtaining Go Safe to come and patrol outside the school, but it has taken 6 years in order to get to that point. So it's the number of hoops you have to jump through in order to establish a site for Go Safe to come and patrol is very difficult. So I just wanted to make members aware that that's going to be quite a tricky thing to do if you did want to go down that route. Thank you.
Yeah, true. Yeah, all of that experience indeed. Hamish?
Yeah, thank you. I only came in halfway through this conversation, so I thought I'd like to talk about it because it is of interest in terms of the grazing the commons, and the commons are obviously SSI conservation sites. The question, is it getting worse? It seems if it's getting worse, as Mike says, the good statistics haven't been kept forever, but it shows that it's getting worse. But one of the problems is that the current levels are a serious impediment to grazing with cattle. The commons need grazing with cattle, probably more cattle and fewer sheep, and cattle are very vulnerable to roadkill, and they're also very expensive animals, and it's quite a serious issue if one is hit. We are interested in working on this, so if anyone wants to work in collaboration, can you talk to NRW? I don't know if we've got any money available now, but we might have in the future. It might be an intervention that we'd be interested in. Obviously, the design of the road is conducive to driving fast. It's very difficult to slow people down, from my understanding, when the driving environment suggests to everyone that it's fine to drive fast, apart from obviously the cattle there. So we might need to look at some more radical approaches to how we change that driving environment. I don't have suggestions, so don't ask me what I mean, but I know that that's where work has been done in other countries on these sort of problems. I would like to add also that excessive speed across the commons, as someone who uses them regularly on a bike, is quite terrifying, and I think that it's not just a roadkill issue, it's a safety issue for other people as well. It puts people off grazing and it puts people off using them on a bike. So I think it is a bigger problem. Speed on the commons in Gower in general is a bigger problem than just roadkill. So in short, I'd like to talk more if anyone is working on this issue. Thank you.
Indeed, thank you for that offer, Hamish. John, you got your hand up again, or is it an old one?
Yes, Chairman, I did. I'd like to ask Mike if he knows, may not, if there is a time aspect to this. I walk a lot in Gower, and part of the time I have to walk on roads for obvious reasons. And I'm always relieved when I'm walking at a time when there are lots of tourists around, because they tend to be much more careful. The time that's really dangerous, I find, is when people living in Gower are moving into Swansea. And the main roads then become quite hazardous, and there's a lot of speeding. Now, if animals are being picked off then, that would be a good time, a better time and a more productive time to patrol than doing general things, which seems to me would be foolishly overkill. I mean, there is one very good thing about the tourist season, which is that the roads are so crowded that speeds go down quite considerably. But in general, my own finding, and it's purely subjective, is that it isn't the tourist traffic that does the really big speeding. It's people coming out of Gower, going to work and going to shop on a Saturday morning. And that's when you get really excessive speeds, particularly past the airport. That's quite a dangerous road now to be on. So I think we need to look at the timing aspect of it as well as the quantitative aspect. Thank you, Chairman.
Oh, that's a fair point, John. Thank you. Mark, you got your hand up again?
Yeah, just briefly, Chair, just a couple of observations on what's been said. Yeah, we did discuss in the group about the the increased number of fatalities for animals on the commons, but what we weren't able to conclude whether this was a direct correlation between increased speeds being experienced as a natural progression, or whether, because of course the 2 years we were talking about is the height of the pandemic, and with that we had the staycation. So we didn't have the evidence in front of us to be able to say that this was due to increased number of visitors, and there were substantial increased number of visitors, as we're all aware, and or speed increases. It could have been a bit of both. So but that is something we discussed. And the other thing that we've discussed as well is, because it was touched on, I think Mike mentioned that reporting of an accident or a collision is mandatory. Well, unfortunately, very many people don't appear to be doing that. So on one hand, when we have our meetings and the police are there, the police always present us with the stats and the number of animals killed reported to the police on our roads. They're not our numbers, they are direct from the police. They are hugely different from what Sam and her team are reporting as kills or serious, kills predominantly on our roads. There's a huge disparity between those numbers. And that leaves you, we're never ever truly sure of which are the right figures, because on the one hand we have to go with the police numbers. So when we're asking for Go Safe to intervene or to come to the area, we use the police data, as we do with we do with animals, we do that with human incidents or whatever. But there is it's a significant difference to what Sam and her team are saying are real deaths on the road compared to what are reported. So it's clearly people are striking animals and not reporting them and driving on or whatever. So, and that's something that we've got to try and get to the bottom of as well, and that will require publicity, etc., and reminding people of their duties.
True.
Thank you, Chair.
No, thank you. Right. Well, there seems to be something happening anyway about it, and an offer from Hamish there to get involved as well, which can only be good. We can try to resolve this issue. Roger, did you want to come back with anything?
No, it's been interesting listening to what people have said, and I think maybe, as much as I dislike the idea, some form of fencing on some of the worst commons may be a way forward to keep the livestock out there. Because the minute the livestock are taken away, it's just going to grow into woodland.
Yeah. Yeah. But it looks like, solutions may well be possible now. Okay, thank you, and thank you for raising it, Roger. Can we then
thank you.
Move on to item 5? There's an update from Chris on the Dark Sky Community Award application. Did you want to add anything to your report, Chris?
Thank you, Chair. No, I think I was just really just reporting on the last report there, and then really describing what we've done in the intervening period. So that there has been hold-ups with the application for various reasons, not just COVID, but we are now back in touch with the International Dark Sky Association. My understanding at the moment is that we're not expecting to have to do any other pieces of work in relation to the application beyond actually compiling it, updating it, and putting it to the IDA. So I'm working on that at the moment. I'm certainly expecting, I think by the time we have the next meeting of the partnership, there'll be an application either in or going in very soon, round about that period.
Good. Well, that's good to hear. Thank you, Chris. Any member wish to speak on the matter? It's progressing. That's number one, isn't it? And good to see things are happening and hopefully get a response. Okay, thank you. And then the next item, item 6, is the AONB grants for 22-23. And Chris has made his report there as well. Anything to add to that?
Well, really, I just wanted to highlight for the steering group the support that we do get from elsewhere for actually planning and delivering the activities that the partnership are behind. So this is just giving you an outline sort of flavour about the grants, and obviously we've got the Sustainable Development Fund grant. That's on the agenda later, I know, but I just wanted to highlight there's the various different aspects to it, and we've done a lot of work with the other AONBs and national parks in Wales to try and improve the situation for AONBs in comparison to the sort of the profile and the funding that national parks receive.
Okay, yeah. Cheers. I can see no hands up there. Thank you for that, Chris, and as always, thorough report there. And then last one for you for a minute is item 7 is the tourism subgroup update, which we've already met, haven't we? And discussed a number of issues. This is in front of us on page 11.
Yeah, thank you, Paul. Yeah, again, you know, with this particular one, obviously, yeah, we had the meeting back end of January. I think the main outcome from that was that we would be putting together the issues log to take forward with the subgroup in due course. But I've struggled to find time to work on that log for various reasons at the moment. But it's on the list and it will get done. I'll certainly make sure we report. I think probably have another meeting of the subgroup before the summer meeting, and we can report back in the next meeting.
Yeah, no, that's fine. You've got enough on your plate there, Chris, anyway. But everything's moving nicely. Hamish, you've got your hand up there.
Just to say, Chris, seeing as I started this off with you, if you want some help on that, if you want me to sit down and do some work on it, or maybe help make sense of the outputs of the last meeting, then give me a shout. I'm sure we can organise to do something or get together and work on it before the next one of those meetings.
Great, thank you, Hamish.
Well, there you are. Thank you so much. I see no other hands up. Thank you for the report there, Chris. And then it's over to Mike now for his SDF fund report you see on page 12.
Thank you, Chairman. Right, the Sdf report is the end of the year one. We have just this morning submitted the claim to Welsh Government for the £100, the £100,000 grant funding that we use. We supported 14 projects this year. It was to have been 15, but we had one drop out at the last minute. That's all gone very well. We haven't yet had the budget for next year confirmed, but we're expecting to get similar levels of funding, and we'll go on from there. I'd like to thank the members of the SDF panel and the SDF appeals panel for their work over the past 3 years. We will be looking to appoint new panel members at the annual forum meeting in June. If any of you have any questions about the SDF grant scheme, I'd be happy to answer those. Chairman?
Okay, thank you, Mike. Yes, a worthwhile fund and a worthwhile panel to be sat on to see things being granted, and sometimes we've been and visited them and seen what good work they're doing. You can see no questions for Mike? No? Okay then, and thank you, Mike. Then the next one is yourself again. And it's item 9, the Gower Landscape and Biodiversity Grant Scheme, and see on page 13.
Yes, this is a new grant scheme that we are going to try and launch within the next month or so. It focuses on our response to the biodiversity and climate emergencies declared by the council and so many other organisations. We will be trying to set up a small grant scheme to encourage landowners, community councils and other groups to look and see what biodiversity projects they can carry out. It will be a small grant scheme run under the SDF banner, a maximum of £3,000 at 50% funding. We're going to be looking at a number of activities, projects, dry stone walling, hedge laying and planting, small woodland creation, coppicing, orchards, pond creation, wildflower meadows, and also small historic features. I'm going to send draft copies of the guidance for all of those and for the scheme itself out to steering group members and the SDF panel members within the next week or so, with the intention of getting your comments back. This is going to be a pilot scheme for the first year. After that, we will have another look at it, see how it's gone, see how we can improve it. We are consulting to see that we've got the guidance right, and also trying to make sure that it's pitched at the right level as well. You have a brief summary in the notes, but as I say, the panel members will, sorry, the steering group members and the panel members will be getting the draft detail to have a look at and to comment on shortly. Chairman?
Thank you. Thank you, Mike. Any questions or comments for Mike? No? Sure. Thank you. Yeah, look forward to that, Mike. And then we go back to Chris and Landscapes for Wales update, item 10.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I just wanted to highlight the work that we are doing as part of the Landscapes Wales with the other national parks and AONBs. This particular partnership is in a minute is principally involved with the administration of the Sustainable Landscapes, Sustainable Places programme, which is a grant available to all of the AONBs and national parks. It's highlighted in the early agenda item. Part of that, and as well as funding specific for specific projects within each AONB national park, there's also a collaborative programme which is taking forward a lot of hopefully taking forward a lot of programmes of shared interest with all of those landscapes. So we're looking at some in this current year we're looking at projects around the carbon footprint of each of the landscapes, and for the larger organisations, particularly the national park authorities and a couple of the AONBs, they're also looking at the carbon footprint of those organisations. We're expecting those collaborative programmes to come forward in the next grant round for the SLSP, and we're hoping that's going to be a 3-year programme, which has been a limitation over the past few years, where they've only been able to award single-year funding, which is obviously puts a limit on the sorts of projects, programmes you can deliver. Also, just to note there, we had an online seminar last year. We're hoping to do something face to face, and we've been approached to see if we could hold that somewhere in the Gower vicinity. Whether we can get a suitable facility actually in the AONB, we're looking at the moment.
Oh, good. Yeah.
But I think that will be obviously for AONB partnership members, local councillors and members of the national park authorities.
Good. Thank you, Chris. So, yeah, there's something to look forward to as well. Good. Can't see no questions for you or comments. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chris. And then the only other item we've got now is the date of the next meeting, which sometime in June.
Confirmed, yes.
To be confirmed in June.
June or early July, probably.
There you are. Yeah, Mike mentioned June.
Yeah.
Thank you all. And
Chairman.
Yeah, we got there. Sorry,
Gordon.
Chairman.
Yeah.
Thanks. Am I allowed? I was hoping you might take a point for any other business.
All right. Yeah.
It's a matter that concerns an item that unfortunately I couldn't really hear, and it was about the Dark Skies Initiative.
Oh yeah.
I am, as a society, we've been very keen for you to develop this and for us to develop it. It's got great potential, and I think, the right noises have been made about it. I was a bit disturbed to hear that there was a plan to hold 1,000 visitors to a seminar or a session. Am I right on this in Pennard Golf Club? Is this fact or fiction?
News to me.
It's fact. It
Yeah.
is. It's not.
Right.
It's not
Can I
1,000.
continue with it?
It's
Sorry?
400 in Pennard and 400 at the Heritage Centre.
Ah, right.
Okay. I'm a bit bemused about this because those two locations are not very good for dark skies, either of them. You know, the dark skies really doesn't start until you get to Kefan Bryn and North Gower and you drop over. And I would be hoping that somewhere along the line, people begin to realise that we're going through all the motions of getting this throwing some money at it, quite rightly. But wherever I look, people are putting more and more external lights up. The council itself has still got 5 lights on at the school at Rosilly all night. And it's just crackers. If we're not going to police some of this work, somebody wants to get out there at night and see where the real offenders are and start sending them letters, I think, because it's not good. Stand on Kefan Bryn in a dark night without any moon and have a look. It's well worth doing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Gordon. Chris, you want your hand up there?
Thank you, Chair. There's a couple of points here, and I think there's 2 things that are being confused. Firstly, there is a festival called Green Space Dark Skies, and that I think is the element that Linda's referred to. So that's an arts project that is participant led rather than spectator led, and there's it's a program of events across AONBs and national parks across the UK.
Okay.
There is some more information on their website. If you Google Green Space Dark Skies, you can find out some more about it. But my understanding is that whatever they're planning is not going to be during periods of dark. It's going to be at dusk is my understanding. So I have had some contact with the organisers of that, and we provided advice about what we felt needed to happen, bearing in mind, you know, certainly as far as we're concerned, but also all the other landscapes are concerned, you know, there are obvious constraints around you know, the capacity of these landscapes to hold such events, but also the potential impacts. So there's that bit, but then actually when it comes to dark skies, yes, I mean, we go out at least once a year to do the monitoring. If there are other areas that you know, that are causing light pollution issues, then by all means direct them to me and I'll see what we can do. We are limited in terms of that, you know, it's you know, if somebody wants to put up a light and they don't need planning permission to do it, they're you know, perfectly within their rights to do it. So a lot of the emphasis and the messaging that we need to get across is around you know, the education about why you shouldn't do it and is there better ways of doing it. So I mentioned the Landscapes Wales and the collaborative funding projects. We're one of those is we're looking at a grant scheme in terms of education for dark skies, and also trying to find some way of tackling problem lighting in the landscapes. So that'll be forthcoming. I'm happy to report back on that at the next meeting about that in some further detail. Thank you.
Could I,
Sorry, Gordon.
could I just come with a very quick response to that, please?
Yeah.
Am I allowed?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Chris. I have noticed when I'm looking through various planning applications, to be fair, on the positive side, and it's very positive, the planners are making specific comments on many of the new planning applications that I am seeing about the dark skies. That is very, very positive, and I just hope that, there is a big stick wave somewhere along the line when people don't adhere to what they've said they're going to do. Thank you.
Okay, Luke. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Gordon. Chris, your hand's still up, or is it you coming back in?
I did just put it back quickly just to say I think that comment observation is probably as a result of the new section in the Gower AONB design guide on lighting, and that's all specifically tied back to our aspiration to become a dark sky community.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. There you are. Thank you very much, and thank you for your attendance today, and hopefully we'll see you soon for the meeting in the new electoral period. Thank you all. Bye now.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.